Welcome to another episode of the UFC Matchmaking Guru with me, the MMA Guru. Welcome. How's it going? If you're new here, subscribe right fucking now. I won't ask again. Welterweight division time, baby. Let's make some fucking fights. And I'm looking at the fights, and so far we've got fights down that are very nice. Okay, we've got Jorge Masvidal versus Ben Askren. We've got Stephen Thompson not fighting. We got Anthony Pettis not fighting. We got Darren Till, who could potentially be fighting Mike Perry next, or Leon Edwards. Whatever way they want to go with that. We've got Robbie Lawler, number 10, fighting number 1, Tyron Woodley. That's a great fucking fight. I feel like they've rewarded Robbie Lawler for that controversial loss before to Ben Askren. But either way, Lawler versus Woodley is a great fight. We've also got Vincent Luque versus Neil Magny. Vincent Luque versus Neil Magny is coming up soon as well. That's a great fight. We've got Damian Maia, who takes on Tony Martin. And I think Tony Martin's going to shock people and win that fight because he's a savage, guys. He's an absolute savage. And if I go onto the rankings right now, things are getting crazy in the welterweight division, and I think Colby has indeed made it great again. Let's start listing some fights that we want to see happen in the coming year. And they need to happen as well, boys. Alright, these fights just fucking need to happen. First of all, before we get into anything, you're not cool for saying Colby Covington should beg you for a title shot. It just makes you look scared. Okay, Usman, you're not big and tough for making Colby want to beg you and saying he doesn't deserve it. It makes you look like you're ducking fucking Colby. He doesn't deserve a title shot. He beat the same two guys you did, only sooner. And that means he deserves a title shot. If you deserve a title shot, Usman, he deserves a title shot too. Stop being a hypocrite. Colby Covington's going to fight Usman, and I think actually Colby's going to come out with his hand raised, if I'm honest with you. I think Colby has the think about it like this. Since Colby beat RDA and had his surgery on his nose when they gave the title shot to Till, so let's say since UFC 228, Colby's been training for a title shot and nothing else. Usman's getting injuries sorted too. While Usman is nursing his foot and nursing his back and nursing his knee that he's getting done, Colby's running. Colby's in the gym training. I think he's going to put on a bit of size this fight as well because he only cuts around 9 pounds to make welterweight. He's not a big guy at welterweight whatsoever, especially when you compare him to Usman, because Usman cuts about, I'd say, at least 25 pounds, if I'm honest with you. I'm saying he for sure weighs in above 190 when he walks into the cage because he's huge. Compared to Woodley, I thought Woodley cut a lot of weight. Usman makes Woodley look like a fucking lightweight in there. When I was fighting that. That's why I predicted Woodley to win, but when I saw the weigh-ins, I was like, okay, Usman's won. Like, it doesn't matter how good you are at wrestling, Woodley. If a guy has an extra 10 pounds of muscle on you, you know, that single leg defense technique isn't really going to work so well. You know what I'm saying? Because the guy is just bigger. And I think that Colby's going to beat Usman. I really think he is. I think he's going to come in bigger. I think he's going to be able to match the pacing, and I think he's going to try and Usman, which will be a great show. And I think their striking is both quite horrendous at times, but I think Colby's got a bit more seasoned striking. Usman with more knockout power, of course. But I think Colby's got a bit more seasoned striking, especially against RDA. He was standing and trading against RDA like it was nothing, and RDA's striking is no fucking joke. So, yeah, that's a great fight. Then you got Ben Askren, Jorge Masvidal, great fight. I think Jorge Masvidal's going to take the win. I think he's found the resurgence at welterweight after that win over Darren Till. I'm giving him the win, if I'm honest with you guys. And I thought Ben Askren, they sort of built Robbie Lawler up as this world beater for Ben Askren to beat to earn his spot in the UFC. In my opinion, Robbie Lawler's over the hill. That's what I saw in that fight. A lot of people said, wow, we beat Robbie Lawler, that makes him amazing. Calm down, guys. Robbie Lawler lost to RDA. Although these are top guys, he's still losing over and over again. He also took Cowboy Cerrone to a close decision before that and got a win. And we saw what the rest of the division had to say about Cowboy Cerrone. Dominated him. You know what I'm saying? So I think a win over Robbie Lawler, they kind of hyped it up a bit much. And the fight with Robbie Lawler, they tried to make Robbie look like a world beater. Like they did with Nate Diaz. Obviously not to the same level, but when Nate Diaz fought McGregor, they made Nate way bigger than he was. You know what I'm saying? They made him seem way more dangerous than he was. When in reality, Nate Diaz is a lightweight that loses half his fights and wins half his fights. In the words of Eddie Alvarez. Anthony Pettis is still in the division. Here's some fights you can make, guys. Anthony Pettis versus the winner of Kevin Lee versus RDA, who I think is going to be Kevin Lee. I'm actually riding for Kevin Lee here. I think he's going to get the job done. That's a great fight. Especially if it's a rematch between RDA and Anthony Pettis. That's a great fight because they had their sort of rivalry where RDA took the belt off him at lightweight. That's a good story. Now they're at a different weight class together. Who would have thought it? The rise of the lightweights in this division right now is crazy. Crazy. But then Anthony Pettis versus Kevin Lee is also good. Kevin Lee's obviously going to talk shit. Anthony Pettis is a big name. Kevin Lee's a big name. That headlines any fight night I know, so that's a great fight. Then you got Stephen Thompson still trying to wake up. He's had a tough fall. And I think what you could do with Stephen Thompson is either give him the rematch with Darren Till, which I think doesn't make too much sense, is why I've said it first. Because he fought Darren Till last before Pettis. Whereas Darren Till has had 2 fights since then. You know what I'm saying? He's been a bit more active. But when Stephen Thompson fights him, it'll be like, oh, you just fought this guy. You know what I'm saying? But that's a good rematch to have. Both guys coming off losses, KO losses as well to lightweights. That's a common theme they could sell. These 2 guys lost to lightweights by knockout. You know what I mean? That's how they could sell the fight trailer. That'd be great. Then you've got other guys. Damian Maia taking on Tony Martin. I think Tony Martin wins. I'm honest with you guys. Damian Maia's a savage, but I'm honestly riding for Tony Martin. Like, he's my guy. I did a prospect spotlight on him. If you don't know that series, check it out on my channel. I'm the best predictor there is. 6-0, baby. I think Tony Martin's going to get the win over Damian Maia. And I think that's going to be another guy straight into the mix. Then you've got Leon Edwards, who won't take a fight against anyone that's underneath him, which is interesting. So what you could do there is Edwards versus Pettis, or Edwards versus the loser of one of the upcoming fights, you know, like Edwards versus Till is a great fight. They have history there. It'll be a UK showdown. If they went anywhere in the UK, Till versus Edwards would headline that card easily. You could put Nathaniel Wood on the card. Great British talent. Let's make it happen. Edwards versus Till is a great fight. Then you've got this guy, Santiago Ponzinibbio, who's been a bit weird recently. You know, he's been calling a lot of guys out. No fights seem to be getting signed. And what I think you do there is all dependent on what matchups are made. If Pettis doesn't get RDA, if RDA beats Kevin Lee, then RDA versus Ponzinibbio is a great South American showdown. You know what I'm saying? If you do that in Brazil or Argentina, that's a great fight. South Americans are going to flock to that because they have the similar fan base. And that's a great fight. Eliseu Zaleski, you can do him versus Ponzinibbio. Zaleski dos Santos is a savage in himself. And welterweight is an orgasmic division, boys. I'm so happy. Gunnar Nelson's in the mix. Who's he going to fight next? Let's find out. Mike Perry's just outside the rankings at number 16 right now. That's a great fight. Mike Perry wants Darren Till. I think Darren Till would absolutely smoke him. Let's make it happen, though. I don't mind that. That's a great fight. Darren Till versus Mike Perry. Sign me up, boys. That's fun. Like the press conference for that fight would make me so happy. So happy. But yeah, Gunnar Nelson's still there at number 15. He's still ranked. Maybe give him Damian Maia. If Damian Maia loses to Tony Martin on the 29th of July, or 29th of June, UFC on ESPN 3, Damian Maia versus Gunnar Nelson, that'd be a jiu-jitsu off. We've already seen it once with Damian Maia getting a decision win, but I'd love to see it, boys. Welterweight is so fucking good right now. So good. Michael Chiesa, I don't really care. He's fighting Diego Sanchez. I really don't give a fuck about that. Where's Michael Chiesa ranked? Sorry, guys, give me a second. Is he even in the top 15? Alright, he's not. Good. I didn't think he deserved to be in the top 15. A win over Carlos Condit doesn't mean as much as it did 3 years ago. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of, the hype of Carlos Condit has kind of died down a bit, but he's still in the mix. You know what I mean? They don't seem to cut guys with names anymore. So, hey, let's do Nico Price versus Mike Perry. That's a great fight. But I think Mike Perry wants to jump up the rankings. Hey, Nico Price versus Gunnar Nelson. That's a great fucking fight. Jesus Christ, guys. The names just are so good right now. Oh my god. Listen to this 25 to 15 range. Nico Price, 6-2 in the UFC, coming off a beautiful TKO over Tim Means. Abdul Razak Al Hassan, coming off 3 KOs in the UFC in a row, 4-1 in the UFC. Ramazan Emeev, coming off 3 wins in a row. Savage. I don't know what flag that is, but he's He looks very Khabib-ish, if I'm honest with you guys. Claudio Silva running up. He's 4-0 in the UFC. Submission expert. Vincent Luque, 8-2 in the UFC. Coming off 3 wins in a row by KO. I mean, like, this division is so fucking good. Cowboy Oliveira's in the mix, even though he's coming off some losses. He's still there, you know, he's a savage. He seems to get injured quite a bit in his fights now, so maybe the wars have gotten to him and a few grenade blasts as well. Michael Chiesa's fighting Diego Sanchez. That's a great fight. Kunchenko is in the mix. This guy is very good. This guy from Russia is very good. 2-0 in the UFC. Let's start matching these guys up with guys in the top 15 that are coming off losses. You know what I'm saying? I want to see some division turnover, and I think Santiago Ponzinibbio needs to take on one of these guys, because, let's face it, a win over Neil Magny doesn't mean that much, if I'm honest with you. Obviously, he's a great guy, Neil Magny is a great fighter, but, you know, a win over Neil Magny is not as impressive as it once was. You know what I'm saying? I think, like, Neil Magny's another one of these guys that can't quite crack the top 10, if I'm honest with you guys. But, yeah, great fights to come, and if Stephen Thompson, you don't give him to Darren Till, hey, sign me up for Thompson versus Ponzinibbio. Sign me up for Thompson versus Nelson. Sign me the fuck up for Thompson versus Abdul Razak Al Hassan, Nico Price, any of these guys outside the top 15 if Thompson wants to get back in there and earn himself another win in the column. Let's do it. Let's start matching up losers in the top 10 with winners that are just outside it. And that's how you get division turnover. Like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Colby Covington, whether it was his fault or not, the division has become great again. You know what I'm saying? And if Usman fights the guys that he's supposed to, i.e. Colby, then it's going to be fun. Stop ducking him, Usman. It's not cool to ask a guy to beg for a fight. You just look like you're avoiding it. I thought Colby was an easy payday. Didn't you say that, Usman? You said Colby's easy work. An easy paycheck. You could beat him easily. Why wouldn't you want a free paycheck? If he's so easy to beat, why don't you just take the fight? That's an easy win, right? Easy win for you, Usman. Why are you trying to get him to beg for it and saying that he doesn't deserve it? He's an easy paycheck. Go get your easy money, Usman. Come on. Colby's going to be champ. And I love Colby. He's funny. Makes me laugh. He's a good meme at this point. I like him. Like and subscribe.